In this video, we're going to look at how to conduct a one sample proportion test in Excel. So let's first set up our problem, state our hypotheses, and then we'll go to Excel and do our math. So the CEO of a large electric utility claims that 80% of his million customers are very satisfied with the service they receive. To test this claim, the local newspaper surveyed 100 customers. That is a very small sample size for proportions. Using simple random sampling, among the sampled customers, 73% say they are very satisfied. Based on these findings, can we reject the CEO's hypothesis that 80% of the customers are very satisfied? Using a standard 5% significance level. All right, now, the first thing that we should do before we do anything else is to state our hypotheses. Now, the newspaper is trying to disprove the CEO's claim. So that means that the null hypothesis is the claim that the CEO is making that the proportion of satisfied customers is actually 80%. And the alternative is going to be that it is actually less than 80%. Now, remember that the alternative has to have an inequality, either a not equals to or a less than or greater than sign. The null hypothesis has to have the equality sign. It can be greater than or equal to instead of equals to, but you can't put the equality in the alternative. The other thing to keep in mind is that the null and the alternative have to have the same value in both statements. And the sample value never goes into the hypothesis. All right, so now that we have our null and alternative hypotheses stated, we need to calculate a test statistic. The test statistic for the proportion test is going to be the sample proportion minus the null hypothesis proportion divided by the standard error. And the standard error is calculated from the null hypothesis value 1 minus the null hypothesis. Well, my typing is really not working, divided by n. All right, so now let's go to Excel and finish our calculations. All right, so I've copied the problem here so that we can refer to it. Now, if you, I just want to note, if you have data that you're trying to test, in order to get your sample proportion, it's a good idea to use a pivot table in order to get the count of the people, in this case, who say they are very satisfied. And then your total sample is your n, that's your denominator. All right, so we're going to have to put the null proportion, and that is our 80% because we're going to refer to it. We're going to need our sample proportion, and that we're going to calculate from our data. They've given us in the problem, they've expressed it as a count out of a sample size. So we can just go ahead and calculate it. It's a good idea to carry all the decimal places, not to reduce these. In case you have an odd sample size, it's just more accurate. And then from these, we want to go ahead and calculate our standard error. And the reason I'm going to calculate the standard error separately, it just makes my test statistic calculation a little bit easier. The square root is, we use the proportion, not the sample. This is one of the differences in proportions between doing the confidence interval and doing the hypothesis test. In the confidence interval, we don't have a null hypothesis. So we use the sample proportion to calculate our confidence interval. But when we do a hypothesis test, we have a claim that we're testing, and that's the assumption that we make about the data. And then we use that in our standard error calculation. So that it's one of the ways in which a confidence interval for proportions and a hypothesis test for proportions are alike, but also just a little bit different. And sometimes if you use confidence intervals to test a hypothesis, you can actually get slightly different answers if they're on the borderline. But this is going to be P times 1 minus P divided by my sample size. That's my standard error. And then my test statistic is my z-score. And that's going to be the difference between my sample and my null hypothesis divided by the standard error that I calculated. Just, the difference in the mean and the observation divided by the standard deviation. So it's the same z-score that we've been seeing all this time. Now, our test statistic is negative because the sample proportion is less than the supposed null hypothesis. And then we need to convert this to a p-value. This is a one-tailed test, and specifically it is a left-tailed test. So we want the probability that we are less than this value. So that's going to be norm.dist. This is our observation. The mean is 0. The standard deviation is 1 because we've already converted this to a z-score. And yes, we want the cumulative value because we want everything, all the probability being less than this value. Now you could also use norm.s.dist. That'll give you the standard error, the standard normal distribution, and then you don't have to specify the 0 and 1. But we get 4%. This is less than 0.05. That means we reject the null hypothesis. Rejecting the null hypothesis. Remember what the null hypothesis was? The null hypothesis was that the CEO is correct. We reject the claim that the CEO is correct, and we conclude that there is sufficient evidence to think that the CEO is wrong. Wrong or maybe possibly lying.